Hello again, watch friends. Welcome back. You know, back in the old days, and I'm old enough to have grown up in the old days, it was said that you could tell a lot about a man by the cut of his jib. Well, I'm not sure what a jib is, but I also heard it said that you could tell a lot about a man by the firmness of his handshake. I admit it, I do prefer a firm handshake. More apropos here, I believe you can tell a lot about a man or woman by his or her watch collection. Here are the ones that joined the collection in 2018. Make of them and me what you will. As I've said before, until about a year ago, I thought Parmigiani was a cheese that you sprinkled on pasta. Well, now I know different. And how. Two pieces from Michael Parmigiani joined the collection this year, the Calpa and the Hebdomadaire. The first was this gorgeous Calpa with a black dial and a stainless steel case. It's a tonneau-shaped case, which is something I was unfamiliar with. I love the look of the watch, with its sporty yet dressy flair and almost playful design. What drew me in was a somewhat retro look that is reminiscent of Art Deco design. At the time, I didn't have a tonneau-style watch, and I took a chance on this piece, primarily because of the Parmigiani name and quality, and because I liked the look of it. To say I was pleasantly surprised is an understatement. The 36mm width and 46mm height is just about the perfect dimensions for a watch like this. Not too big, and not too small. A Goldilocks size, I guess. The 3-date calendar display is a Parmigiani hallmark and very well implemented. I'm a sucker for a beautiful black dial, and this Calpa does not disappoint. The overall dial is so well executed that I just really enjoy looking at it. Turning the watch over, you see the fantastic gold rotor with the Parmigiani insignia. The automatic movement is extremely well finished, and it's easy to see, by its quality, why Parmigiani pieces are held in such high regard. The only downside is that the movement is round, sitting inside the rectangular case. Many watch enthusiasts, including me, prefer a movement that's specifically designed for the case dimensions. Having been enormously pleased with the Calpa addition to my collection, I couldn't help myself in obtaining another Parmigiani piece. I wasn't really looking for another Parmigiani, but if you're watching this, you're probably at least a watch enthusiast, if not a collector. And you know that when an opportunity presents itself, you need to act. In this case, I was visiting an authorized dealer in New York City, looking at some other watches, and saw this stunning champagne dial Hebdomadaire. I already knew that Michael Parmigiani is a premier independent watchmaker, and all his watches are made totally in-house. The Hebdomadaire has a manual wind movement, which I prefer, and fortunately this caliber was designed explicitly for this tonneau-style case. In French, Hebdomadaire means weekly, and is indicative of its 8-day power reserve. 2 barrels provide the power, and the finishing of the movement includes circular graining on the bridges, beveled edges, and a swan's neck regulator. The overall quality and finishing of this movement are what one would expect on a watch of this caliber. No pun intended. I was initially concerned about the larger size of this piece, but once I put it on my 7.5-inch wrist, it looked so right. I immediately fell in love with it. The finishing on the Glashütte Sunray dial is also superb, and the 4 levels add a sense of depth, not to mention plenty of visual interest. Naturally, the dial has a signature 3-date window at 6 o'clock and a power reserve indicator at 12 o'clock. Both are extremely easy to read. Overall, the aesthetic is harmonious and just exudes quality. Further, the case has the attractive Parmigiani teardrop lugs, the Hermes strap, is very comfortable, and the signed buckle completes the picture. In the end, I went from 0 to 2 tonneau-style watches in 2018. A pair of palms, as it were. The H. Moser Cie Endeavour Small Seconds was also not a planned purchase. In fact, many of my acquisitions aren't planned per se, other than I have a general idea of what I'm looking for. In the spring, I had narrowed down my search for a quality timepiece, with a pedigreed past, and one that was considered haute horology. I believe I had settled on a Zenith El Primero chronograph. Then the Moser happened. It was one of those deals too good to be true. For not much more than the El Primo, I was able to land the Moser, with its white gold case, signature minimalist argent dial, and excellent movement. Argent is a lighter silver look with a sunburst effect radiating from the center. The small second subdial has a circular guilloche in the central two-thirds of the dial, which adds depth and interest to the dial. The movement is the star of the show and is especially noteworthy, and one of the reasons I obtained this piece. It has a modular escapement where the entire escapement, balance wheel, hairspring, pallet fork, are interchangeable so as to simplify adjustment, cleaning, and servicing. In addition, the pallet fork and escapement wheel are made of hardened solid gold with low friction surfaces, negating the need for escapement lubrication. Another technical feature of the manual line caliber HMC 321 is the Straumann hairspring, which is made of 7-element, corrosion-free, anti-magnetic, fracture-resistant alloy, thus improving isochronism and timekeeping. Lastly, a stabilized Breguet overcoil is used to maintain consistent power delivery from the mainspring. You might think that the technical innovations of this Moser appeal to me. For example, the Straumann hairspring, interchangeable modular escapement, and Moser teeth, among others. And you'd be right. It wasn't the only reason I bought this watch, but an important contributor to the decision. The other reason for the acquisition is that this is a beautiful watch. In the usual trademark Moser style, the minimalist aesthetic really appeals to me. Moser watches are characteristically understated, even when their flamboyant watches have blue, green, or red fume dials. H. Moser Cie is probably one of the lesser-known Swiss brands, but is truly a hidden gem that many watch enthusiasts are unfamiliar with. I don't buy watches to impress other people. I buy them for their quality and the enjoyment I receive from learning about them, wearing them, and owning them. I made the correct decision in adding the Moser to my collection in 2018. I have German ancestry on both sides, mother and father. I drive a German car, have a German camera, and like fresh German Pilsner, Landjagers, and pretzels. That's not why I obtained this relatively inexpensive but high-quality German Sinn 556i Flieger. Although it's an entry-level model with no special high-tech Sinn technology, such as hardened case, higher-end movement, gas-filled case, etc., it's really a nice-looking and accurate piece. Although the 556i uses the stalwart ETA 2824-2 automatic movement, Sinn uses the top-grade version in all of their watches, which are adjusted in 5 positions with an average rate of plus or minus 4 seconds per day. The key differences, especially between the elaborated and top versions of this caliber, are the barrel spring, shock protection system, pallet stones, balance wheel and hairspring, and the regulator mechanism. In addition to the movement, the Sinn brand is no slouch either. They are mission supplier to the German Federal Police, have had their watches worn in space, and produce a wide range of tool watches that have few equals. My 556i is the special edition, which has a red seconds hand instead of white. I like the addition of color, which makes the dial pop. I was looking for a pilot watch, and I think the Sinn is the best choice for me. At 38.5 millimeters in diameter and just 11 millimeters thick, this is another Goldilocks-sized piece that I added to the collection. With a good-looking matte black dial, 200-meter water resistance, and sapphire crystals front and back, the watch is as functional as it is attractive. The Japanese behemoth Seiko Corporation makes watches at all levels of quality and price. Their higher-end models are called Grand Seiko and have a 50-year-plus storied past. Early models were winning the Swiss Observatory Challenges many years in a row back in the 1960s that some people think caused the Swiss to abandon the competition. I have two Grand Seiko models in my collection, a mechanical GMT and a spring drive, elegant sports watch. I was looking to add a third. I didn't intend to acquire this 25th anniversary Grand Seiko high accuracy quartz piece, which celebrates 25 years since the first 9F quartz caliber was introduced, but the more I read about it, the more I was intrigued. I didn't own an HAQ, but the concept appealed to me. What's not to like about 15, 10, or even 5 seconds per year accuracy? One of the most distinctive features of any Grand Seiko, and perhaps the most recognizable element underlying the brand's emphasis on fine craftsmanship, is the extremely fine finishing on every surface of the watch. Bracelets, cases, indices, hands, all have clear lines, sharp edges, and a mirror finish achieved by artisans with decades of experience in Seiko's unique Zaratsu, or blade polishing, finishing technique. The 241 does not disappoint in that regard. Since Grand Seiko has expertise in both mechanical watches and microelectronics, they can produce a variety of watches with leading-edge technology like almost no other company. Such is the appeal of this HAQ. Heavy-duty motors are used so that there's no bounce on the seconds hand. The piece has a thermo-compensated movement to increase accuracy regardless of temperature variations, just to name two technical innovations. Very few watches at this price point have this level of technical sophistication and quality. For many reasons not worth discussing here, Grand Seiko is often a polarizing brand. However, their exquisite case, dial, and hand finishing has attracted growing numbers of followers, and the brand is starting to get some of the recognition it deserves. This SBGT 241 high accuracy quartz is an extremely fine example of traditional Grand Seiko finishing, quartz movement engineering, and value. I'm glad I have it, and I wear it often. Most watch enthusiasts know about Glashütte, Germany, the small town near Dresden that's been a center of German watchmaking for a century and a half and is now a mecca for fine watchmaking. Some of the best German brands, A. Lange & Sohn, Lang & Hein, Nomos, and, of course, Glashütte Original, call the small town their home. I knew that the high-end German brands were often the equal of the perhaps more well-known Swiss brands, and had my eye on getting one of these pieces. There are several Glashütte Original pieces that have attracted my attention. The panel reserve is a striking blue color, is just the bee's knees. The panorama moon phase in rose gold and black dial is simply stunning. And maybe, surprisingly, the GO70's panorama date was also on the short list. I've always been a round watch kind of guy, since I thought round watches were the way wristwatches were supposed to be. It wasn't until I acquired my first tonneau style watch that I even considered an alternate case shape. I would never have considered a square watch like the GO70s if it wasn't for my experience with these previous models. The most striking aspect of this particular watch is the color of the dial. Glashütte Original calls it galvanized blue radiant, but it's more of a bluish, purplish sunburst. Amazingly, it looks completely different depending upon the lighting conditions. The second most striking aspect of this watch is the shape, a cushion style that's supposed to be reminiscent of the 1970s, hence the name. The beautiful dial has applied wedge-shaped white gold hour markers whose faceted indices remind me of the Zaratsu finishing on Grand Seiko models. And I really like the large date, a hallmark of Glashütte Original and the namesake of the model. In addition to the gorgeous dial color and excellent finishing of the hands, indices, and case, what also attracted me was the automatic caliber 39-47 movement. It is exquisitely finished, with three-quarter plate with a Glashütte stripe finish, smooth balance rim, swan neck fine adjustment, and polished and beveled edges. In addition, it has a skeletonized rotor with a 21-karat gold oscillation weight showing the double G logo in gold. Some watch snobs say that a Glashütte Original watch is a poor man's A. Lange & Söhne, but I disagree. GO has its own style, pedigree, and superb quality. This watch is elegant and makes me smile every time I look at it. The FP Journe Chronomètre Souverain Boutique Edition, reference CS, was a watch I had not aspired to own, but was from a well-respected independent brand that I was aware of. However, once an opportunity presented itself to obtain this watch, and that I was able to trade up a watch that I loved but wore infrequently, the deal was done. What appealed to me most about this piece was the outstanding attention to detail on the dial, movement, and case. The black dial with the gold case is especially striking, just so elegant. I enjoy the detail on the dial, such as the guilloche at the center and the circular graining on the small seconds and power reserve subdials. The dial offers pleasing visual harmony with its gold hands and applied gold Arabic numerals, and the nicely counterbalanced juxtaposition of the small second subdial at 7:30 with the power reserve at 3 o'clock. The caliber 1304 movement is the horological piece de resistance of this piece. This manual wind movement is equally as stunning as is the dial, with an abundance of finishes on the 18-karat gold plates and bridges. These include sunburst patterns, circular graining, wave decoration, perlage, and Geneva striping, all of which can be seen through the exhibition caseback. A pair of mainspring barrels work in parallel to deliver a minimum of 56 hours of power. This is an elegant watch made by an impressive independent watchmaker. It's no surprise that he won the 2005 Men's Watch Prize in the Grand Prix Horlogerie de Genève for this line. The dial is a symphony of design elements, small seconds, power reserve, hands, all providing a harmonious ensemble that is just a delight to view. The meticulous craftsmanship of the caliber 1304 only adds enjoyment of owning and wearing this piece. This watch has become the pinnacle of my collection. I consider myself very fortunate to be able to collect watches that appeal to me. But like every collector, my financial resources are not unlimited. Therefore, I need to choose carefully the pieces that I will add to the collection. We all have to do that. I hope you enjoyed learning about my curated additions in 2018, both the information about the particular watches and why and how I came to add them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.